that's a beautiful life. Just to make it through the struggle and you still be here. Now that's a beautiful life.
Okay, wind me up. DC, stand up. The Godfather, I got you. You spoiling me now. 6 years later, still the talk of the town. I put myself on, and then I put my team on too. Take home my BET. I spilled my drink on hold. Still I believe that, and I mean that. There will be no flow if you ain't sing that tune. We see police run joke. You put DC on first. I put us all on next, and now it's all on me to keep your name on deck. Okay, the Godfather. Gotta know that it's not a problem. Been in the pocket like Italians and Saviata. Praying for a better manana. I hope I'm making you proud. I'ma rep you in honor. Irrefutable spirit. How your music get nearest. When I got that award, it felt like you got this shit with me. Ha. Life's good, still it's getting better. Still pray for Low and Benny. Tell KK hold her head up. A lot have done it, but not too many that done it better. Forget a record for all you done, you deserve a medal. A toast, a two for jump, EU for essence, for back, NG, UCB, TCB, hold C, rest in peace, this for you.
All that I've got, all that I need, I got you, baby, you got me. What more could I ask for?
Yeah.
Beautiful life.
Greatest to ever do it.
Beautiful life.
Best to ever do
Beautiful
it.
life.
Amen.
Beautiful life. True 360 by BDC, by Black Dress Collaborative, for another installment. This is the, not for you because you look glamorous and beautiful, but this is definitely the Rough Riders installment today.
Cole Stevens,
rocking the baseball hat and the ponytail today. I've been
it was a
up
weather
and
day,
out. It was weather.
Day.
I had 2 people in the hospital, had to get up and deal with
bless
that madness.
God.
So we are just grateful and blessed to be here. Want to thank Sandra B. Swangin for giving us the big shout out. And let me tell you, if you all have not listened to her show, you should. And if you missed today, I just caught the last 30 minutes with Kimberly Lawson Roby, and who is one of our beautiful Black sister authors out there, who's telling our story in her own voice. You really missed a treat. So you got to definitely check her out here, part of the Listen Vision Live family. But for now, you're listening to True 360, and boy, today is the day to listen. This is for all my potheads, my weed smokers, my people that have glaucoma, depression, cancer.
Okay, now it's moving in the
and
right
whatever
direction.
else you might want to have. We are talking marijuana today, all day. So you got to definitely tune in for that, because we're going to have some experts on to tell us, the difference between the drug, the medicine, and the policy. Right here in D.C. and across the country, we know this is, and of course, as we care about hot topic and big business, big business. Lots of people have been doing information on this, and you know how we like to do. We want to bring the real. So we're going to bring the truth of the matter. Right after we get finished talking about hot topics. But before we get to that, let me remind people that they can check us out and follow us on Twitter at Truth 360 by BDC. Go ahead and log on to Twitter right now and be part of the conversation. Tweet out some questions, some information, some stuff you want to know. We're following the feed right now, and we'll get those thoughts on the air. And you can do the same on Facebook, which you can find us at Truth 360 by BDC. And, of course, if you just can't manage to get all that together, we got to get Truth 360 by BlackDressCollaborative.com. Now, if you've been emailing there, we just found out we may be having some technical difficulties, but don't worry, keep emailing, because we'll get it together and make sure that it all comes together for good. And of course, to receive the latest updates and alerts, please text Truth 360 to 40691. I think that takes care of most of our business for today.
Absolutely.
And I know there's only one thing on America's mind after last night, and that is
the state of
the union. My boy.
SOTU. And
That's
all
right.
that I can say was that one of my friends tweeted last night and said, President Obama, for every Democrat that did not allow you and all of the pundits and people that you listened to and didn't swing in September and October before the elections, you definitely came out. I think the best phrase I've heard is a drop the mic. And he, while some people have complained that he cherry-picked, he defended his record and his legacy, and most importantly, he brought it home to my favorite place, focusing on the middle class, focusing on veterans, focusing on real kitchen table politics, real bread and butter issues, job creation, energy, sick leave, paid sick leave, minimum wage, all of the issues that are that we can anticipate not getting significant support from the Republican Party. We can anticipate not getting support from
this was the speech for the base.
There's
no question about
that's
that.
my number one. It was a drop the mic for the 2016 election. It is a motivate the base. Let us know that you still care, you hear us, you're thinking about us, and then you're gonna fight until the term is over. It's not gonna be a sit back and do nothing.
I definitely feel like this was the legacy building moment.
Absolutely.
He's got a few other tiny little nuggets that we can point to where we really get the true sense of what his presidency has been about.
Absolutely.
But this was definitely one of those.
Oh,
what were some of your
God.
favorite lines from the speech?
You know, the parallel that he made between what the GI Bill did after the Vietnam and Korean and other wars, and being able to provide colleges for all of the community colleges for students to be able to begin a college career free,
Right.
and to make that available to students in America was huge to me. Another really powerful and poignant moment was when he talked about all of the technological and medical advances that have been made and how they translate into our veterans being able to get, you know, when they've lost an arm, getting state-of-the-art technologies, and just about America leading. And then the novel line when he said $15,000 a year is nothing to live off. You don't believe me? Try it. And I think all of the media really lit up. And one of the things, I was participating in a couple of online interactive polls. I really enjoyed the platform that the White House put out, that they took notes and messages for you to be able to tweet out and Facebook out when you agreed. But MSNBC had a poll that you could really touch by time when you agreed with the president's comment or disagreed.
Right.
And
Right.
it was just amazing to me how, whether Republican or Democrat on the line, how there was just a consistent Republican, Democrat, Independent was
Right.
almost always consistent. And if there was ever a deflection towards disapproval, it was the independents. And I was shocked by that, meaning, you know, there could always be people who were saying they were Republicans and not, but that was shocking to me.
Well, I think that at the end of the day, the message was, one, for the progressive base, but two, the reality is that most of us are fighting it out somewhere in the middle.
Absolutely.
You know, we're a little bit at the top of the middle. We may be a little bit in the middle.
Absolutely.
Some of us are scraping the bottom of the middle. But the reality is that was really a message for the middle. And the middle is the largest constituency for both parties, frankly. And so when you start talking about those kitchen table issues like jobs and particularly education and stuff for veterans, then you're talking to the middle. So that doesn't surprise me as much. You know, as it relates to the independents, well, that's one of the reasons they're independents, because who the hell knows where they are and what
And
they
I can
believe.
tell
And I'm
you.
not dissing independence.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that part of the position of independence is that your ideology is not aligned with anything,
and that you make a decision on a case-by-case basis. And then he championed the veterans and them returning home and what that means for job force. There was a line when he said, if you want somebody who's going to be dependable, disciplined, and get the job done, hire a veteran. And I thought that was really powerful because of the work that I do in the government contracting space, and there are so many amazing professionals just beyond their core expertise, having the project management and the comfortability with order and organization, which is always great from a business perspective.
Absolutely.
So I just champion the fact that he put it out there, he put it on Front Street, and of course to drop the mic was when he said, you know, I don't have any more elections to run for, and you know, there was a heckle that we didn't hear, and he said, that's right. And then he said the thing, and it just was so comical to me that, okay, you went ahead and told him, and I won both of them too. And it was just really to see him on the offensive. Sometimes his personality being so strategic is thinking 2 or 3 chess moves ahead, and it's been frustrating at times to say, you know, what are you doing? Say something. And then 3 days later or 2 weeks later, you see that he was holding his ground because he had negotiated in the direction of getting the outcome that was desired by his base, at least, or the majority of Americans. And so Chuck Schumer said a beautiful thing in HuffPost, and I think that's what I'm going to close with, that last night around the middle class and kitchen table and hope for America, what we still can do and how great we are. The Democratic Party was united, but on many of those issues, the Republican Party is divided. And so what I hope is that we can focus on issues. You know, that's always my speech. Focus on the issue at hand and not on your personal allegiances. But politics is what it is, and I'm just hoping that we can keep this temperament moving forward. What about you, Holly? What's been going on?
Good luck with keep it on even keel.
Yeah, we can hope.
Focus on issues. I want that for you because I want that for America.
Yeah,
actually,
I was going to say for America because
I
I always say
really,
I'm all right, but I'm always thinking about the least of these and the hard-working people who are striving.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I am a self-proclaimed Obama critic for sure. However, I try to give credit where credit is due, and I definitely think that last night he put his foot in the State of the Union, which was awesome.
Yes.
The cynic in me says we could have used that speech in October 2014, to energize the base before we got to the point where we had a Congress that wasn't going to pass not a single one of your pieces of legislation that you have boldly pushed forward. The cynic in me says, of course you pushed forward such a bold agenda 2 years before the end of your administration with not a single snowball's chance in hell of most of it passing. So now you come with the big ideas. I'm just saying, this is the cynic in me. I'm just putting it out there.
And
I'm also
agree.
just going to say, the cynic in me, as it leads into 2016, and you proclaim you have no elections to run, is a continual theme that I have said about Obama, which is my number one complaint, is that he's all about Obama politically. What about the other Democrats? What about the other races that they have to run? What about the support that they could use from the leader of the free world in order to get elected? So, hats off for the swag. I'm gonna keep it, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Hats off for the swag. Glad to see you had that in you. Would have been nice to see, even a couple months back where we could have really done something with it. I would have loved to have seen these proposed cuts and this proposed distribution of wealth in terms of the tax cuts on the rolling back some of those tax cuts on the wealthy to pay for some of these cuts for the middle class. That would have been great when we actually had a snowball's chance in hell. But strange for the hallelujah budget bill you sending forth, and I support it. Let me not stray from the issues. I know you're going to bring us back to the issues.
No.
Let's not stray from the issues.
I'm
I support
actually
it.
on the strategy side. As a strategist, I always believe that the party that's in power in terms of the presidency always has the big challenge, especially when there's going to be an opportunity for a new president to be seated from both political parties. Mm-hmm. And in this instance, there's no incumbent, so it's a fair fight all in. And I think that where you heard he was pro-Obama, I heard him saying, I'm going to keep all these issues on the table, and I'm going to show you the difference between which party is going to be in your court and not. So while I'm not overjoyed that there's already talk about, rescinding the DREAM Act and cutting the budget and killing this and killing that and all of the negativity that we've heard from the Republican Party, I am hopeful that it will make a decision for Americans very clear that you can choose the group that's going to be for you or the group that's going to be against you. Yeah. And so that's the good. I'm always looking for the rainbow, as you say. But the strategist in me says, Obama, keep up the conversation, keep pushing, keep exposing where decisions are, where opportunities for us to work together are. And if it doesn't happen, hey, it is what it is.
The good thing that he has on his side in terms of the exposures is that the Republicans are not paying attention.
No.
What the frick were they talking about? That Republican response, I was like, did you not get your draft copy?
Which of all five? No, I'm kidding.
Did you not get your draft copy? What in the hell is you talking
Ernst
about?
spoke well, but I don't know much of what she said. But I was listening. I was waiting.
Well, let me explain to you basically. Okay, well, let me tell you what she said.
Yeah.
Basically, she said, okay, we agree the middle class should have a break, but we don't want the rich people to pay for it. We agree that veterans should get some help. But we don't think the American people should have to pay for it. We agree that all these outcomes that would happen if we move this budget would be phenomenal.
Right.
But what we don't agree on is that it should be paid for with tax dollars. Now, my question is, well, how the hell you planning on paying for it? I mean,
wait, what you gonna cut and get rid of?
And furthermore, what the hell do you think you run over? You ain't running over corporate dollars to get corporate sponsorship to pay for the vet program. You can't run over to Walmart and ask them to set up a health care program and pay for the middle class to be able to get, so that we can get some control over these education. Ain't nobody managing these damn outrageous freaking interest rates on these student loans. That ain't happening voluntarily. And so,
and with sequestration upon us with budget, because we are as lean as we can get. There is nowhere to bleed from.
Look, at the end of the day, I was like, the Republicans will ultimately hang their own goddamn self. That's the reality. And last night's response, especially by Ernst, our guests are here, especially by Ernst, was a key example of that. Because basically, in a nutshell, if you missed it, what she said was, we think good things should happen for the middle class, but as a Congress, we are not willing to do or make the tough decisions on our rich friends to make sure that it gets paid for.
And
so
the data's there. The major wage earners have said it's not going to kill us if we have a little 4% increase in our taxes.
We want you to have health care. We want you to be able to pay for your education. We want your veterans to have the benefits. But this is the Republican position. We ain't paying for it. Good luck figuring that shit out. But we ain't paying for it. That was the response. Now, I can't sugarcoat it more than that. That's just what they said. I don't know if you was
listening to her.
That's what I got.
Let me tell you why I was perplexed, because I was still kind of mind blown about President Obama saying, get it done. So I was kind of there. Yeah. And I kept hearing her bring up the relevant issue, agreeing with it, and then saying, but, and it's like, so you agree with everything that he said, but in the bottom line, you're going to do nothing about it. So I'm living for Rachel Maddow today. I'm living for Chris Hayes. I want to see what they going to say.
Hey, I'm living for Saturday Night Live because at the end of it, they don't, and here's the message is, we want you to have everything. We want you to live, what's our little code, a bee swanging. She says, a beautiful life. We want all that. Life. But look here. You got to get that shit on your own, because we ain't doing nothing to help you get there. Now, we ain't against it if you make it. We ain't mad at you if you get to the promised land.
Exactly.
But don't look for no bridge.
We're not helping you. There's no bridge.
There ain't no bridge coming.
Ain't no boat. Hand grenades. We oil slicking and whatever you driving, whatever you have in your
pathway to the promised land.
Good
luck getting there. We hope you make it.
It's gonna be Selma all over.
We hope you make it. We hope you have the fortitude to get there.
Holly, I really appreciate it from a true 360 perspective.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I absolutely appreciate it, because I just said, it sounds like she's agreeing with them. So what's the point? And then they said there were going to be 4 more, and I was like, I'm not doing it. I'll watch it on the internet.
They all said they all took different issues to say the same thing, and they basically said, we want all that for y'all. We really do. We want y'all. We want y'all to have that, and that's what they see. That's the mind trick. That's the Jedi mind trick that they pull on you. That's why you got to listen with a clear third eye.
I
told
you about my brain was still on overdrive. I was drop the mic moment when Barack said and I won both of them too. So while I'm talking, and I was like, you know what? I need to go.
Don't get all caught up with him.
Good.
No, they all said the same thing. They said we want that for you. We want you to have that, but you ain't getting it from us. I mean, we think you should seek that out.
Wow.
You know, we really do. We think you should figure out how to. In fact, we think we should get that too.
Exactly.
We think that's some good stuff to have. But we ain't helping you get there.
Exactly.
You got to figure that shit out on your own.
Yeah, that's real good. Yeah, do that. pull yourself up by your own
Yeah, you better
bootstraps.
find you a
I know you
strap.
ain't got
We
no
ain't
shoes on,
strap.
but
Ain't no
whatever.
straps up in here. No, not
That
under our Congress.
Not under our
Not
Congress,
under our
right?
Congress. We ain't that kind of Congress. That ain't what we do.
Okay,
But
so
we
let's
support you now.
But we with you. No,
hey.
you my dog.
Hey, you know, we standing on the mountaintop and hoping you find your way up. Good luck to you.
Exactly. While we throw
Don't
boulders
mind, I was about
down,
to say, don't
little
mind that rock
avalanche.
cliff that's hitting you in the head. Don't mind that. Just keep on
We gonna
coming.
blow some dynamite and let the
Absolutely,
the volcano
absolutely. We got
explode.
some real cute
We
girls
got
over here
something
gonna
for you.
cheerlead for you, but ain't no real help coming.
Nah,
You
we
can
in there,
forget
yeah,
that.
That's all. It's not
So
happening.
hopefully, you know, sadly, America, that's what we dealing
That
with.
is unfortunate. But I
That's what we
really,
dealing
more
with.
than you know, I really appreciate it because now I'm going to trust Truth 360's co-host, Holly Holiday.
yes.
And I'm going to leave it there. So let's have some fun about the movies. I just picked
Okay,
four
I don't go to the
when there were
movies.
like
All I
10,
saw
I
was
remember.
Selma.
That's what I'm saying. But there are like 10
So
that
you
we
got
could watch.
to tell me.
But
What
they're
should
all
I go see?
controversy. No, I can't tell you to see. Let me tell you my thoughts.
Okay.
American Sniper. There's all the buzz and arguing
That's the
and
one that
controversy.
killed the people and what's going on? Okay.
$92 million in the box office this
Yeah,
weekend.
people like
and
guns.
growing. Okay, The Wedding Ringer, funny.
Is that
funny.
the one with that little boy in it?
Yeah,
What's his name?
yeah, Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. Oh, he is funny.
Regardless of what you think about the movie, its quality, its text, you will laugh from the beginning to the end.
Which is why I follow him on Twitter. 'Cause he
Absolutely.
funny.
Go to Saturday Night Live. You just watched the Saturday
Oh,
Night Live
yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
It was amazing.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
Hulu, for those of you who don't have it.
Absolutely.
And so 20.6 million, and that was great. You know,
Yeah, that's
she could have been more.
okay.
but it
We
was
shot
great.
the people.
Right. And then
We
the
laughed at
interview.
the
Remember,
people.
we talked about the
Yep,
interview, and I
yep,
didn't
the
like poking the
controversy.
hornet's
Yep,
nest, but you were very, very clear about free speech.
Yeah,
and
I'm all
so
about the speech.
they went to digital display, digital
Yep.
sales, and I am overjoyed that Seth Rogen and his team did 40 million in digital sales, and they're about to go to Netflix
Absolutely.
today. And so that's big ups for
Because
media.
Because that's my kind of people
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
Let me
The
just-
strategist
digital
in me,
media.
just go ahead and
'Cause
make your
I
money.
ain't getting off my butt to go to no damn movie
But you
theater
see
when
how
I can
he
push a button
push a
from
button
the couch.
on demand.
That's me.
So you see how he
figured it out.
He figured it out, and I love that.
Yeah,
It's like that. Don't
that's
get
right.
stuck in arguing about if they're gonna
'Cause
put
he
it
knew
in
the
theaters.
Republicans wasn't
Make
gonna
your money.
help, so
Make
he
your
was
money.
gonna figure
He
it out.
worked it out.
He worked it out.
And then
That's
you
what
know
you gotta
the movie that I think I'm gonna start a campaign to make it mandatory viewing for all students.
Really?
Right up there with To Kill a Mockingbird. I loved Selma in
Did
that
you?
it told the truth about a true historical experience. And because what I loved about it was the demonstration of the length of time, the strategic approach, the need for there to not be an island to yourself, but inclusion, and in galvanizing and really building a coalition to support your issue. I remember during Title IX when there were many discussions about all of the legislation, the women's legislation, disabilities, all
Yes.
passed around the same time, sometime
Yes.
between 60,
Yes.
64 to 72-ish, right? And so what I remembered all of those sheroes of the Title IX movement saying that whether you were talking about education, about sports, whatever aspect, the reason that they were effective is because all of the coalitions built their coalition strong.
Right.
And then they all worked together. So when the disabilities folks were going to champion something on Capitol Hill, all of the other civil rights groups came with them. When women were pushing, all of the groups, and that's what I think for all of the young energy that I see being galvanized around Ferguson, I'm seeing people across cultures saying we have to do something. So my third book is Beyond the Vote. And so we really have to talk about this issue.
I can't wait for you to write that because I'm going to write
yeah.
the counterculture book
Yeah.
that's going to be behind the vote.
Okay, and so
and I'ma
beyond the
tell
vote,
you,
I really want to see people.
I
Yes,
wanna
I need
see
you to
it.
vote, and then I
wanna
need
see
you to
it.
be active beyond the vote. Because if you
Yeah.
don't get beyond the vote,
Yeah.
you're not gonna affect change
Yeah.
that will be lasting
Yeah.
and impactful.
I want to
And
see
so,
it.
tell me about the counter.
Well,
culture vote.
first of all, I thought Selma was a great movie. It was good. I enjoyed it. I thought the little the little behind the scenes glimpses were very cool, and it's good for people to understand that these are basically people we talking about who are trying to do very huge things. And when you're a person trying to do huge things, there's some good and some bad and everything.
And you know what I thought about, Holly? I want to sidebar. We always talk about leadership and integrity in leadership.
Yes.
And I think that I formulated this thought about integrity in leadership and the reality of being a human being trying to lead, and to not put that pressure that, you know, I'm for integrity in leadership in terms of doing the way wrong things, but don't let yourself stop the mission when you misstep. Apologize, fix it.
Well, exactly. I mean,
you can.
The thing is that people are imperfect,
right.
So you're gonna have imperfections. Right. So what I appreciated was the fact that you can still have a great moment. You can still have a history, legacy building moment, even with the imperfections.
Yes.
So that part of the movie I certainly appreciated. And as you will hear a whole lot about on this show, this year represents the 50th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, actually August 6th. And so we're going to be I'm involved in a whole bunch of activities. But I have to laugh when I think about the civil rights movement and all the different movements coming together, because behind the scenes, having been a part of that work for more than 20 years now, people don't know how hard that shit really is.
Oh, and how,
because what you really don't see, which I really need. I mean, one day right before I die, I'm gonna write this book that talks about all the crazy shit that these so-called leaders do and say and manipulate to get the stuff done. And let me just say, it's already getting started. Here we are getting ready for the 50th anniversary of the VRA, just like the March on Washington a year or so back. And already they done tried to leave out the women in the movement. Every time. Every time. I'm like, we just went through this fight. We just went through this fight about the role women play. And y'all put together a whole collage of people, and ain't no damn women.
And how when she tried to start a women's movement, her husband was president. They fought him and said, you can't let your wife do it. But then the main person who fought him when he was president after her husband, he allowed his wife, not allowed, but encouraged and pushed, lobbied for her to start the women's movement. And that part of it, it's the real truth.
Now what's real crazy about all that is that in today's society, today, right now, as we sit here, most of your major civil rights organizations have key women leaders. So how the hell the women gonna lead themselves out? That's what kills me. You know, you and pushing your figurehead leader, but you the one that's the ED, that's the executive director that's doing the daily grind, and you done left your own
and
agenda
I think
out.
It becomes,
what did we learn?
It's something that we always clown about as PKs, that oftentimes when you're a parent, and I know you must have experienced this with your parent being a political leader, that when your dad is the pastor of a large church and congregation, they feel some apprehension about you stepping up, that if you can sing and lead the song, but you let somebody else have a chance. But my dad was different. My dad believed you go out and be all that you can be. But a lot of my friends suffered from that. Be humble, and it's like, but she can speak better than her. She can sing better than her.
Humble's good.
I mean, humble's necessary, has a place, but not to the tune of, like you said, all of these women who are not stepping up to lead, to step up and be the voice.
Well, what can I say? What we gonna do? Well, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to let me tell you the songs I picked the music today. Yes. And I tried to pick all songs dealing with marijuana. And let me just say, there's so much marijuana music. I mean, I cannot tell you how much marijuana music there is. There are several top 10 lists, and the top 10 lists in every genre.
Yes.
From jazz to rock to R&B, soul, reggae. I mean, every genre got their marijuana songs.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a little sampling. First one up from 1933.
Wow.
Cab Calloway, Reefer Man.
Now with a hidey high and a holy ho, Cab Calloway and his Harlemaniacs present a flaming bit of heated Harlem harmony.
Why, what's the matter this cat here? High. What do you mean he's high? Full of weed. Full of weed? Yeah. Why, what is this cat anyway? That's the reefer man. Yeah. Why, look at that dog. He looks like he's losing his mind. He lost his mind? Yeah. Come on, let's get away from here then. Oh, that funny, funny, funny reefer man. If he trades you dimes for nickels, he says watermelons are pickles. You know you talking to that reefer man. Or have you ever met that funny reefer man? Oh, that funny, funny, funny reefer man. He smokes a reefer, he gets high, then he flies to the sky. That funny, funny, funny reefer man. Time now, pat that thing slightly, lightly, and politely. Why, that cat's still high. Yeah, man!
It's wonderful.
Now, if that wasn't a blast from the past, I don't know what
it was a lovely blast.
We're gonna go through different musical genres. We were talking during the break about our favorite marijuana theme song. I asked my brother. He was like, "Isn't every song about marijuana?" I don't know. It was hard to choose. You know, so I didn't get all my favorites in. I like what you said, rolling down the street and gin and juice and
sipping on gin and juice.
Oh my God, it's all so good. Brown sugar, Mary Jane. I mean, oh my God, it goes on and on. Hey. I'm Holly Holiday. I'm one of your co-hosts. You are back with Truth 360. We are live on the air today, and I'm here with my co-host
Jennifer Jones.
And we have been joined at the table. I told y'all this was the marijuana day. Now I've been telling y'all,
not the marijuana people, but the marijuana day.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about drug. We're gonna talk about medicine. We're gonna talk about policy, and we have the perfect people in the studio to lay it all down for us. And that is Shantae Hopkins, who is the CEO and founder of, okay, let me look at my exact notes so I get your stuff right. Medical Marijuana Advocates Group, MMJ Advocates Group, and she's here with Alexander Pay, P-A-Y. Yep. I got the notes and didn't read them. Alexander Pay, who is the legal counsel and partner at MMJ Advocates Group. And let me just say, we are both down at WeWork, hanging out down there, all the good people down there, for one. I want to remind people that they can call in on our phone line at 567-704-0832, enter code 2014, and we will get you live on the air. But, of course, if you're shy, feel free to check us out on Twitter at Truth360 by BDC, and we'll read your comment for you to get you in on this conversation. So, Shantae and Alex, or Alexander, which do you prefer? Alex, all right. Shantae and Alex, here's what we got to start with first. What is MMJ Advocates?
MMJ Advocates is a company where we assist patients in the district, currently in the district, in obtaining their medical marijuana card. Mm-hmm. We have a network of doctors who see our patients. Patients give us a call. We schedule appointments with them to see one of the physicians within our network for a physical exam or a consultation, as to evaluate their qualifications for medical marijuana.
Absolutely.
So,
exactly.
And so
Go
what
ahead.
do you find to be the greatest challenges and the most important thing that people who think they need medical marijuana? So I guess first, before we do that, who are your patients? Who do you serve?
We serve all residents of the district. We have seen patients between the ages of 8 and 80.
And what
Literally.
diseases are you?
Everything. Well, initially, when the program first started in the district, it was one of the most restrictive programs in the country. There were only 5 conditions which qualified patients.
And those?
Oh, goodness.
From HIV and cancer,
Yes.
to glaucoma, and also if you're receiving those treatments like chemotherapy treatments and cancer treatments.
And what
or whatnot.
year did it start here in the district?
The first dispensary actually opened in June of 2013. Excuse me, July. I believe it was July 31st, and then it was followed by the other 2 the very next day, on August 1st, 2013.
Yes.
So we're I want to point that out because this is even since then, which has been a little less than 2 years ago, the policy has grown from these 5 or so diagnosis to what's the policy currently?
It's currently just discretionary. It's up to the physician. If he
Okay.
determines that your condition, whatever it be, might be better suited with the treatment of medical marijuana, through the treatment of medical marijuana, then he will recommend. He'll make the recommendation based on that.
Right.
So it's discretionary to the physician.
Awesome. So I want to also get into, so how does a person know when it's time to contact you guys?
Usually, once people learn that it's legal and available in the district, that is when they contact us. And so, patients who are interested in treatment and who want to receive that treatment legally, once they become aware of the fact that medical marijuana is legal and available in the district, that is when they contact us. It really is a matter of educating people and letting them know that number 1 is legal and number 2 is actually available, because people don't know
That is the thing.
And that was the big thing. Go ahead.
It is a very big function of what we do at MMJ Advocates is raising awareness of the program.
Sure.
There is still a lot of people out there that are just unaware that it exists. I was one of those people. Shantae actually approached me.
Right.
That it actually, and I was like, "Are you serious? This actually exists."
Yeah.
And so we're trying to raise awareness for that.
Well, we just had the legislation on the ballot, and before we do that, I want to remind Eric to make sure we put the flyer up so we know how to contact you while we're having this conversation. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, so what I wanted to ask was, could you share, Shantae, just a little bit about maybe like 2 or 3 clients that have come to you that needed your services and needed your support? Perhaps a scenario where someone came and wasn't sure, and then someone was in a crisis and you were able to be that difference maker, and then someone who came who didn't really need it and you educated them on that you don't meet the requirements, or your physician deemed that they didn't meet the requirements.
Well, the ultimate decision is the one and only decision maker as to whether or not a recommendation will be written is the physician.
Right.
They make the decision as to whether or not your condition qualifies you, or if this would be a good course of treatment for you.
Yes.
So we've had a few patients who were denied a recommendation from our physician. I can think of one, for example. The patient was unable to, number 1, document his condition. He was unable to describe adequately the symptoms he was suffering from. He came in and it really sounded to the physician like he was just a recreational user who wanted to be legal. Well, that is not the purpose of the medical marijuana program. So that is one person. I'm not always in the doctor's office, so I'm not sure, how all the patients are, what the treatment is like for each patient. Patient in each individual situation is unique. We've also had, I can tell you about another patient, an 80-year-old woman who always sticks out to me, sticks out in my mind. Her family has been obtaining marijuana for her for years illegally.
Yes.
And when they learned that marijuana was legal and available in the district, they were really, really excited. It was literally a family affair.
Absolutely. and think about it, that you could be out there putting yourself in harm's way for a good reason.
And that is our motto: safe, legal, and affordable access to medical marijuana treatment. We want everyone who qualifies to have safe, legal, and affordable
because it was Dr.
access.
Gupta's
CNN thing.
documentaries on CNN that I remembered him being completely against medical marijuana, let's say 10 years ago. And during that time, as a cancer research scientist, I knew the benefits of the marijuana and had been quite a proponent of isolating the molecules to get it in some form that would not be smoked and you have to go on the street and procure marijuana, but that you could actually have it the way that it's legalized today. On the flip side of that, I'm also very aware of the addictive consequences and some of the health consequences and some of the things that recreational use and abuse cause in marijuana, and I know why there's controversy. And so that's why I really wanted to hear from you some real live, scenarios, because I think that we have the effort of educating.
Well, let's pull back
one other thing that is really important that I would like to just touch upon. We have quite a few patients who are veterans.
Yes.
A lot of them come, serve their tour of duty, and they come back and they have PTSD.
Yes.
A lot of them
Thank you for that.
have criminal records, and they find themselves in prison or in jail, on probation, and on parole. I have these people come to me on a regular basis, and once they have these medical marijuana cards and it's legal treatment, then they're no longer being violated for marijuana use. So that is really important, and it's not just veterans, but it has affected so many veterans.
But that's a population, and it's a very valid, because people who are not in the medical arena or not in the military or military family, they don't understand that PTSD is not something that you can look at, a cut or wound, but it is a deep scar, and it surfaces at times, and that there are veterans who go through crises, they're committing crimes, they're abusing their families and themselves, committing suicide. I mean, the extremities of it. And so because I know what Wake Forest and GW and some of the institutes in our region and the country are doing to try to help PTSD, to know that medical marijuana can play a role in calming the neurological system and looking at the science of it, is kind of where most of my thoughts are, for helping people to understand this is not all bad. And you're not talking about making it available for recreational use. That's a separate conversation.
Absolutely.
Well,
Totally
let me
separate.
ask this question, because Jennifer probably knows, because she studied the molecules and all of that jazz. I don't know nothing about the molecules, so I gotta ask.
Jennifer
the
went a little
question.
deeper than I went as well.
She's a
Jennifer went
scientist, so
deep.
she will pull that out on me occasionally, and I have to sit here and go, okay.
You saw me looking.
But I am interested in why marijuana became sort of, why marijuana out of, all the potential drugs that are out there, and certainly some people see this as street drug, but why does marijuana stick out?
Well, I think that there are other drugs. There are like codeine. It has medicinal uses. There are people who are
addicted to it,
and they're addicted to it.
Even cocaine has
Exactly.
it's a lesser schedule than marijuana.
Yes,
On the
marijuana
federal
is
guidelines, but yes.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at the marijuana, so thinking about it from the pure clinical side of it, that marijuana itself has components, and there's the a THC that I wanted to make sure that I know the molecular formula, but the THC component in medical marijuana is the one that is psychoactive,
right,
and the one that really is problematic. It's the one that stimulates the brain and stimulates the addictive pattern through the reward cycle. So that's the problem. And in the 90s, there was like 4% in average marijuana blunt, that there was only like 4% THC, and now what's on the market, there's like 15%. And so that's the addictive side of it. But then the medicinal compounds, the ones that are the cannabinoids that are really effective at calming the neurons and subsiding seizures, giving people greater respiratory, is a problem. So codeine, you have to get an injection, right? There's CBD, CBN, and DC. And so when you get an injection of any drug, it's right into the blood. So when you smoke marijuana, it's going from the lungs into the bloodstream. So it's a quick action that truly is effective, but you have to deal with the addictive side and then the exploitation of,
or the carcinogens as well, if you want to get to that. But there's another, that's also another misconception, is that marijuana must be smoked. There are so many forms.
There's other forms.
There are so many forms of consumption, including edibles. Currently, there's no actual edibles like cookies or baked goods in the dispensaries in the district, but there are tinctures, which are just it's just a concentrate, or not really a concentrate, but they've been able
extract.
to extract.
An extract.
And they've been able to get all the active compounds out of it through alcohol or glycerin-based ones. So there's that. There's also vaporizing, which is a bit healthier. It heats it up where it doesn't burn, where the flower doesn't burn, but it just
and you're not getting that smoking carcinogenic toxic part, because chronic marijuana smokers get lung cancer at the same rates that cigarette smokers do.
I don't believe that's true. Not at the same rate, at least, because the additives that are found in tobacco products aren't found in marijuana. It's just the flower.
Disclaimer is chronic. If you're a chronic smoker, which means you're smoking
multiple
a certain
times a day.
amount
per
day, then if you're a chronic smoker and there's a cigarette smoker who smokes two or three or a pack a day, your numbers are going to be equal. We're not talking about pure recreation.
What's the process now? We kind of get now who the patient potentially is, which is anybody. And you go to the doctor.
District residents. Let's be clear on that. You must be a resident of the District of Columbia.
All right, now, no Maryland and Virginia people. Y'all can't be sneaking over here up in here. We working on y'all.
The Maryland government, they're projecting, hopefully, the beginning of 2016, they'll be able to, the first dispensary sales will be. They've already,
it's legal.
They're drafting all the regulations. The processes aren't all ironed out yet. But it's legalized, or the medical portion. Yeah, so medicinal marijuana is legalized. It's just that the process to obtain it is not finalized yet. That will be done within this year. They're all ironing out all those details, and hopefully by 2016 we'll be able to start getting patients through physicians' doors and getting them licensed in Maryland.
And what's the projection for Virginia? Where
Virginia,
are they in the process?
I know of a group that is lobbying their state government to get to get a medical program up and running there, but they don't have the infrastructure.
Is it decriminalized there yet? Do they have any decrim laws?
No, I believe not.
I didn't think so. I thought that was the first step. That is, we haven't focused much on Virginia. But I was hearing some things about them trying to take baby steps, getting first decrim laws on the books, and then pursuing a medical program.
Well, let's back up for the audience just a bit and tell me. Let me ask my first question, because I want to make sure people get this solid information.
Yes.
I think I have some illness that may be helped with medical marijuana. I call you. What happens? What's my process? What can I expect?
We will schedule an appointment for you to come in and be evaluated by one of our physicians. At that time, if the physician writes your recommendation, if he feels you qualify, he will recommend. We have to be very clear on that. Physicians are able to recommend.
They don't prescribe.
It is not a prescription. So they write the recommendation, which they send over to the Department of Health, who will issue. The card is issued through the Department of Health. There are some things you must provide proof that you are a district resident. There are certain documents that there are guidelines that detail what documentation is acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
You have to provide a copy of those documents as well as a completed application, which that is then filed with the Department of Health.
Okay.
In the district program, we have a lot of people who come here. They're from California, they're from Colorado and other places where they could have a card and go anywhere they want. The laws in the district state that you must choose a dispensary. So you select a dispensary and you can only use that dispensary.
Okay.
If you're not happy with that, you are able to change to another dispensary, but you're always assigned to one dispensary. So that is the only dispensary.
And what's the logic of that?
I think it is because they monitor closely.
Regulate.
There's a limits to the amount you're able to purchase. There's a 2-month limit. So that
2 ounce.
2 ounce
per
what
month.
did I say?
2-month limit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You get 2 months and we cut you out.
Ounces. 2 ounces per month, and that's a rolling 30 days. So today you purchase
It's rolling
2 ounces. You can't. It's not a calendar month, and you have to wait 30 days.
Do you find that amount is sufficient?
It depends. It depends on the conditions. I have some patients who say it's not enough. It's not a sufficient amount. Where the law allows for expanding that to up to 4 ounces. That hasn't been done yet, and I'm sure that there are ways within legislation for them to increase that to there's an amendment, but the law as it is currently written allows for the rules committee to increase the current limit to 4 ounces. That hasn't been done.
Right.
I know there were a few hearings over the summer about that, but that has not been done yet. But that is pretty much the process. Once you give us a call, we schedule you to see one of our physicians, and it's up to the
Are there
physician.
certain doctors that can recommend? Do you have to be qualified in some way
in the district,
to know, or can it be any doctor?
Any physician. It has to be an MD or a DDS.
A DO.
DO.
Not a dentist.
Not a D. That's right. A DO. Not a dentist. You're right. Yes, a DO or an MD. And we have to be clear about that because there are nurse practitioners. Well, nurse practitioners can, they're able. Well, they're able to do the exams, the consultations, but a physician must write the recommendation. So if there's a nurse practitioner working in the office and they do exams and things like that, then they're able to complete the exams. But recommendations may only be written by a physician. And any physician in the district, as long as he's licensed in the district and he registers.
So the discipline doesn't matter. It could be your cardiologist, your oncologist, your GYN, your family medicine, or in the case of the kids, the young people, it could be a pediatrician.
Absolutely.
But they need to register.
They have to register. It's a simple process. They have to register with the Department of Health.
Okay.
And then the Department of Health will get them set up. There's a system. They actually do it online. The recommendations
you
are sent
all
online.
work primarily with patients, or do you help doctors get registered? Or
we do it all.
What can you do?
We do it all. We help our network of doctors.
MMJ.
The very first employee that I hired at MMJ and brought on as a partner was Alex, our legal counsel.
Yes. Sounds
very
good to me.
brilliant.
Just to make sure we are compliant in everything that we do, and to ensure that all the doctors in our network are compliant.
Absolutely.
And then they're actually certified, because it's an easy thing to check, but you need to make sure.
Well, that's the Department of Health's job. I mean, once they approve the doctor to write the recommendations,
it's their job to make sure.
Absolutely. I mean, we want to make sure that our doctors are certified.
That's
and
what I mean.
they're
Like
qualified.
if you're going to place a nurse, even though the nurse's actual certification comes from a state or governmental entity, you don't want them in your shop and affiliated with your people, because malpractice can come back, and in this case, you could be breaching some legal lines.
Absolutely.
And so that's another.
So. Doctors, they have to be licensed in the district. Most of the doctors in our program are licensed in both Maryland and DC.
Sure.
But that is definitely something that is important. DC, and we don't. In the beginning, that was one of the biggest challenges for the program. Is doctors were just not interested in being involved. They were very hesitant. They were worried about the liability, the fact that it's still illegal on a federal level. A lot of times, but the legislation, the way that it is written, it really does protect doctors. They are only recommending.
Right. Not
once the doctor makes that recommendation, the Department of Health then issues the card, the license to the patients. So that doctor just said, I recommend that this patient be allowed to use this form of
and so
treatment.
there's another level
Absolutely.
of authority.
So that is what is very, very important to for doctors to understand that they are it's a recommendation. The doctors have absolutely no control over the dosage. Right. The doctors don't say, it's not up to the doctor to say, I think that this patient should only be allowed, so many grams a week. That's something that the patients decide for themselves within their 2 ounce per month limit, along with the dispensary. So there's a whole process though once you go to the dispensary, and probably Alex could.
What I really want to. So now I got the card. I don't know what I have. I probably have. I have a friend. We just went to do the thing for cancer, so I got cancer. I'm feeling nauseous.
Well, you don't have cancer. How about you have insomnia?
Something good like that.
I do have insomnia. That's actually true. I got the
you have insomnia.
But anyway, I have insomnia. I went to the doctor. I got my card. Now, what the heck do I do? Where do I go? And how? I don't know what to do.
Come by my house.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I maybe have never used marijuana before. What happens next?
So, you make your first visit to one of the dispensaries, whichever is your designated dispensary. And all the dispensary technicians in the district, they're all pretty knowledgeable. They know what they're doing. They know what, the strains.
And how many are there now?
3.
There are 3 operational dispensaries, and then a 4th one actually will be opening up hopefully sometime in the spring.
Okay.
And are you able to just talk a little bit about the dispensary side? What is a dispensary? Can I go into the business of becoming a dispensary?
Yeah, well, they're very heavily regulated entities, of course.
That means no.
We can handle regulation.
You got it.
That ain't no easy process. Ain't gonna be no dispensary on the corner, okay?
It's a very intense.
JCO in medicine, right? we can handle it.
It's a very intense application process for them.
Okay.
I don't envy that. Whatever they have to do that.
Because the goal of my today is because I know so many both elected leaders and law enforcement leaders who see the deleterious effects of drug use. And when they hear marijuana, they are thinking about the criminality, the drug culture, and the recreational use and problematic things. And they're not always having this, that this is regulated. There's a process. This is not a fly-by-night. So it's not like we could just go hook up the True 360 dispensary. You know what I mean? And
I definitely want to deal with those consequences, but I want to finish this process because I got my card now. I need to know what I'm supposed to do with it.
Okay,
so now what happens?
You come into the dispensary, you chat with a technician,
or
a dispensary worker or whatever, and then you say whatever your ailment is. I have insomnia.
How do I know which
headaches.
dispensary? What are some things that I should be asking or looking for to figure out which dispensary I should be assigned to?
Well, what I say to patients when I'm in the doctor's office, because for the most part, we're that front line. Patients come and see us first.
Yeah,
they've established a relationship with us. The first thing I say to patients is go online. All of the dispensaries have a website. All of them have a menu. There are names for all of their strains. You can do a little bit more research, and it'll on what treatments
work for which one.
Yes, what these strains typically treat. But they will go through that with you. They'll sit down with you and discuss your ailment, and and they will make some recommendations for you. A lot of times, I would say 95 to 96% of our patients are experienced marijuana users currently, so they have an idea of what works for them. They know the difference between sativas and indicas and CBDs and HTC and THC.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I want to know.
Those are the medicinal compounds or the extracts from marijuana that Alex was talking about. And those extracts, some of them have beneficial properties, and some of them have properties that can be addictive and negative and aversive. And so
All right. Okay,
but now that you have your card and you're in there and you're doing that consultation.
I looked. You guys helped me figure out.
And what we do, since we see so many of the patients, over 80% of the patients currently in the program, in the medical marijuana program, came through MMJ Advocates.
Okay.
So
you all have the experience.
And then the value that we provide to the patients is because these consultations they're not covered by insurance.
Absolutely.
Or at least the initial consultation isn't.
Absolutely.
None of it. Nothing having to do with medical marijuana is covered by insurance.
Well,
so all of it, you have to pay. It's illegal on the federal level.
And so let's talk about the cost.
So you're paying out of
the
pocket.
money.
You know, these consultations with other physicians outside of our network might be anywhere from $300 to above, depending on whatever the
and then
physician's
finding
time
a physician that is willing,
right? Because your primary care physician might not necessarily be willing.
It's usually going to be a specialist, especially the oncologist and the pulmonary, respiratory, pain management. Those that are really servicing people who really need or are in crisis.
Woo, boy.
So what we've been able to do is assemble this great network of physicians that are willing to lower their rates, very affordable rates.
Beautiful.
So $125 for a consultation is a base fee, and that depends on income as well. So it could go lower depending on your income.
Depending on your income.
So you have a sliding scale,
which is
to
important.
accommodate.
It is
important.
Well, if you qualify as low income, it's $75
which
for the
great.
consultation.
Which is great.
So this
Safe,
is affordable,
legal, and affordable access. That was one of the major barriers to the program.
And then, and then the product itself. So we get to the product.
Yeah.
You have your card. You go to the dispensary. They tell you this indica strain
I'm
is
trying
so much.
to know.
So this indica, they tell you this strain because it's X strain. It's an indica dominant thing.
For my insomnia.
Works for your insomnia,
right out.
And then you purchase it, of course, and those prices are pretty comparable to what you're going to find on the street.
Okay.
So ranging from 14 to 20 a gram.
All right.
That's pretty typical of what you find.
Okay.
That's
but
the going rate.
This is healthier,
and
safer.
this is healthier. This is safer. There's quality
and
control.
regulated,
and
I'm getting exactly what I think I'm getting.
Let's talk about
Let's not talk about that yet.
No,
Let's take a song break.
Oh,
you done talked up the whole half
No,
hour.
I'm not. I'm asking necessary questions.
You are, and I want to make sure we get to them.
No, but I'm saying when he's talking about that you're going to get the amount and talk about what that is in terms of volume. You said two ounces, but people don't know what that looks like. So you get enough.
Oh, they know.
You may not know. My world don't know. No, we don't know.
I honestly don't know what 2 ounces looks like, but
do you have a calculator? It is there are 3.5 grams in an eighth. There's 8 eighths in an ounce. So that times 2 is 3.5 times 8.
This is turning into an arithmetic lesson.
I know, it got deep.
56. You get 56 grams.
Okay.
That's 2 ounces.
That's
a pretty decent amount.
That's a decent.
I mean. You know,
but it just depends on how severe your condition is.
But I'm saying it to get you to understand, because I know that people who are opponents of the legislation, so I'm always strategically looking at how we get legislation passed. These are the things that they're challenged with. She's just giving it away. So come on, Holly, to your song. Come on to your song.
What's on next?
We got Legalize It by Peter Tosh. Released in 1975. We moving on up now, y'all. From 1933 to 1975. This was his first album and song that he released after leaving the Wailers, and it talked about it was written in response to, as Jennifer talked about, the ongoing victimization by the Jamaican police and the political piece for pushing the legalization of marijuana. So let's get that in, and we'll be back to talk about the actual drug policy of it all that Jennifer is dying to get to, and so am I.
Rastafarian tradition include our firm belief in the use of marijuana, ganja, cali weed as a sacrament to be performed constantly. Touch's militant stance as often causing pain in the hands of Babylon.
Legalize it. Don't criticize. Legalize it, yeah. I will advertise it. Some call it tamping. Some call it the weed. Some call it marijuana. Some of them call it ganja. Never mind, legalize it.
Yeah, yeah. I man will advertise it. Singers smoking, and the players of instruments too. Legalize it, yeah, yeah. That's the best thing you can do. Doctors smoking, nurses smoking, judges smoking, even my lawyer too. So you got to legalize. Don't you criticize. You better legalize it, yeah, yeah. I man will advertise it. It's good for the flu. It's good for asthma. Good for tuberculosis. And it even cures glaucoma. So you better legalize it. Make it free for I smoking. Don't want to be abused for it. In this your time. Birds eat it. Ants love it. Fowls eat it. Even the ghosts love to play around it. So you better legalize it.
Woo, we are back. Let me just tell you, the conversation off the air is as lively as the conversation
and
on
awesome.
the air.
As,
awesome.
And awesome.
This is definitely, I don't know if we can get it all in one show, but we're going to do our very, very best, and we will definitely be having Shantae and Alex back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
I've already sent to her PR person, to Toby. I'm like, all right, let's get our day scheduled now. Because before she even got here, I said, I can already tell this is getting hot. I just want to remind people that they can join, be part of the conversation by calling us on our line at 567-704-0832 and
do all the stuff they know. Let's get back
put
to
in
the
the password 22014.
Yes.
I do have one person who has hit me
Yes.
up on Twitter who has said, okay, I'm gonna find it. Go back to it.
Okay. And
Go
so
back to your
while
questions
you're
for our
looking,
Twitter
Holly,
thing.
let's reintroduce, because we're at the top of the hour. I'm Jennifer Jones. Holly Holiday and I are your co-hosts for Truth 360, and we are joined today by the Medical Marijuana Advocates Group, MMJ, and that is Shantae Hopkins and Alex Pay.
There you go.
I did it, yes. And so, did you find it, Holly?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay, so a whole bunch of stuff about how they love you guys and love the show. They wanted to know about, I kind of asked this, but what they wanted to know about is the, if they get, how to get, I think what they're trying to say, these things are convoluted. I think what they're trying to get at is they want to understand how long the recommendation lasts, or the card, how long is it good for, what do you have to do to maintain it?
Okay.
Because they're like, what happens after? So I think they're talking about what's the process after. So
okay, well, if you come through our program, we complete the entire process for you at the time you're seen at the physician. A member of our staff is generally on site. We will help you with the entire application process. When you contact us, we will tell you what documents you need to bring so that we can copy those and send a copy along with your application. After that, again, your application is submitted to the Department of Health. That is assuming the doctor has written the recommendation saying you do qualify.
Has not denied you.
Exactly. Your recommendation is then good for 90 days. If for some reason your information is misplaced, your application is, they say, something's expired, we need additional information, whatever the case may be. I mean, this is what we do, so we know exactly what documentation you need to provide. So as long as you provide the necessary documentation, then your card should be processed. According to the Department of Health, they are processed in 5 days.
Okay. We want that.
We all know city government.
Good things. 5 days.
The hard-working government employees do the best that they can to help MMJ expedite that process and walk it through.
That's what happens.
Yes.
Look at my face.
That's what happens. Yeah, that's what happens.
Look at my face.
That's exactly what happens.
So the recommendation itself is good for 90 days. If it has taken 90 days for you to get your card, there's a problem.
Yeah.
But the recommendation itself is good for 90 days.
Okay,
once the card is issued, it is good for 1 year. You must come back for an evaluation. Now, in our program, all of the physicians in our program do require patients to come back in 4 months, 6 months, depending on the nature of their condition, just to make sure that this is the correct and appropriate course of treatment.
Right.
Our doctors do a follow-up. To, if especially our pain management doctors.
Yes.
The pain management doctor in our program, I know, will not. Most of the patients see him for pain management, and he will not give you narcotics and a medical marijuana recommendation.
So you have
so
to
he
choose.
continues to follow up, and he tries to transition as many of his patients as possible, and our patients that we send to him from the narcotics and the different opiates to the medical marijuana program. And he'll do other forms of treatment. They see chiropractors, and he does the injections, other things to try to get them off of all those other drugs. So you have 1 year.
Okay.
And if you come through our program, I mean, I can't say, because there are other ways for you to get the card. You can your primary care doctor.
We don't care
who
about
I'm
all
sure
of that. We care about
I'm
what
sure
you're doing.
anybody who's writing the recommendation is going to want to follow up.
Yes.
Yeah, they need some help though. They need to come on see you, because they don't know how to deal with all this regulation stuff. They like me. They don't know.
Yeah,
and we want
I want the safe, legal, and affordable piece, and they need a guide, and you the guide. So we going through you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like the 80% of the other people that did
exactly.
it.
And the assurance that the process has regulation. So let's talk a little bit about things that challenge. So we know there needs to be a larger public awareness campaign on the safe, affordable access component. And then I know that, like I said earlier, law enforcement, the religious community, I'm thinking of just huge pockets and demographics that you talk about legalizing marijuana, the difference between making medical marijuana use available through these regulated, process-driven policies, and just legalizing marijuana for anybody to just go to a dispensary and say, I want $100 worth today. I want to put it on my credit card.
My business.
Yeah, it's it. No, we can't have that
well,
business.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
And let's just say
attorneys, that's a conflict to the family business.
Saying, when it's legal, I got the right perfect business. I'm just saying.
Well, I will say it's a lucrative business.
Yeah,
get into it. Just
absolutely.
look.
I'm
Did you
not
see the
bad.
60-minute story?
Yes.
But what I will say, first of all, in any jurisdiction, and I believe Colorado and Washington, where it's legal for recreational purposes, is 21 for adults 21 and over.
Yes, absolutely. Stress that.
So just like
21
alcohol,
piece.
is adults 21 and over.
Yes.
As you know, we talked about in the office prior to coming here, it was Initiative 71 was on the ballot here in D.C. back in November. It passed with almost 70% of the district residents.
But how has that really been? How does that impact the medical marijuana stuff?
Well, it was still, it did not allow for sale and purchase, which right now Congress is taking steps to block it, so we don't even know if that's going to happen.
Exactly.
But with that, even if Initiative 71, sale and purchase was still subject to the medical marijuana card.
Sure.
But you have to also understand what that really was expanded decriminalization, would you say, Alex?
Yeah.
Because that doesn't protect you with the
Right.
things like I mentioned before. Your employment, if you have to take a drug test through your employer, or you're on parole or probation,
or your housing.
Your housing, because
housing.
there are
Yeah, that's a good
situations where
point.
housing can be affected. So that is again just it was expanding and taking away that there was with the current decrim laws you get a ticket, but with 71 that you wouldn't even get a ticket, right? For adults over 21
it
with
wouldn't
a
even be a
small
civil
amount.
infraction like that. But what it didn't allow for was the transfer for money.
Right.
So there was no sale allowed. You're allowed to purchase under 71, but you're not allowed to sell it. So there's just a magical transaction happening. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm purchasing it from.
So, or you can grow it,
or you can grow it
it
on
at
your
your
own.
house
That's what
and
it allowed
give
for.
it to your friends.
It allowed for private cultivation. You could give
Picture
it.
that. Now, I think those are the kinds of things
Yes.
that should be a concern to law enforcement.
Yes.
Because
I
who's
agree.
growing marijuana in their home and giving it away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Honestly.
let's just think about
Absolutely.
that. Those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
So if there were any concerns, those kinds of things, I mean, that legislation, they definitely would have needed to do a little bit more work for that legislation
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
successful. And again, I'm not saying that it couldn't work, but for the medical program, I think that we had an incident where it was the strangest thing. We had to call an officer. We found that someone had hacked into our system, which, they hadn't hacked into our system, but it appeared that someone was contacting patients for some reason, and we just wanted to file a report.
Sure.
So we called an officer who came to our office, and we said, we're calling an officer to the medical marijuana office. And the officer, he said, this is really strange.
Right.
You're actually calling me
Why
to
wouldn't
tell
we?
me
Yeah, why
about your
wouldn't
medical marijuana business. But this was just, he had
Hello,
a
what
lot
is
of
it?
questions for us. He was asking a number of questions. It turned out to be something that wasn't a medical MMJ issue, so we didn't have to file a police report. But the officer was there for a good 45 minutes just
Wow.
questioning us about the regulations, about how the program works, because he said they don't get any of this information.
I was getting ready to say, law enforcement, and I think that speaks to Jennifer's point, and also why we wanted to do the show is because there are big groups of community that are touched by marijuana, not necessarily even medical marijuana,
Yes.
and because of the way in which they're touched, particularly if they're bumping up against the illegal practice and use, they have prejudice and don't understand the medical marijuana program and how it works.
And the differences, and that it's not just a free-for-all
Absolutely.
store
Right.
that's going to
Yeah,
allow
that's
people
the
to go
thing.
to a vending machine or like a takeout place,
Yeah.
just
It's
order
not-
and
it's-
receive.
Which is
not-
my
it's-
business.
it's
and
not
that's
a-
huge.
yeah.
It's really
Yeah, when it's
These dispensaries are not liquor stores,
Yeah.
You
So-
can't even
which
walk
are
in without a
arguably-
card.
Right. You're
Right.
arguably more dangerous for you.
Oh,
A liquor
absolutely.
store.
Absolutely.
Because you have free reign. They can't
Oh,
stop you
yeah.
at 2 ounces of alcohol.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know,
Oh, I know.
whereas-
I done bought way more than that.
Absolutely.
Oh, I know.
and so,
I know.
Trust
so
me.
the substance abuse component, I think that we've done a great job, Holly, of peeling back the layers
Absolutely.
and looking at all of the sides, meaning the concerns that community has, the legislative advocacy component, I think, which is still a big piece because,
Yeah.
there are so many states that are just...
let me ask this question, even for here in the district, because we're at the point now where we have the program. We have a method for people to get the card, and you all are here as guides to help through the process. Are there legislative fights that you see that are still out there that we need to be aware of? And what are they? What are the things next on the horizon that as citizens we need to be tuned into?
Well, marijuana policies are just it's so split up. It's so divided between the different states because it's all particular to each jurisdiction.
Right.
So from state to state, you'll have a different policy. Some are completely illegal, some recreational, some medicinal, and some are just decrimmed.
Okay.
A federal standard, something on the national level regarding medical marijuana or the decriminalization thereof. That's something that we're trying to work on, and we want our program participants, to be actively involved. We want them to use their votes, their voices, and and mobilize them to be more active in this process.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that this is how we have conversations. Holly knows, as a servant leader and a community advocate, I really am so big on educating people, just giving them the facts and the truth. And I can tell you that we had a successful substance abuse and mental health conference this past summer, and there was conversations about the dangers of legalizing marijuana and the dangers. And I think my big takeaway today is going to be to separate medical marijuana use from blanket legalization, because I think that there are patients, and I can tell you I recently rewatched Sanjay Gupta's documentary on CNN, not for the show, but just one day I had some time, and I was like, I remember learning a lot, but I need to learn more because it's going to become a growing issue. I think it was after marijuana was the laws passed here in the district that I was like, let me go back and make sure that I'm really up to the point, because people want to know facts.
Absolutely.
Safe,
and I think
legal, and access, and affordable access.
Affordable is really, really important, because and another thing we have to think about, there people who are low income, the dangers and the risk that they're facing, because think about the places that they're going to obtain their marijuana,
as compared to, once again, the uptrodden in other communities. There just would not be the difficulty and challenge,
to get it illegally. There are people, if you can afford to do so, you have your person who can bring it to your home.
I hate telling this story, but I have a friend is the appropriate word, who had been years ago heavy in the drug game here in the district, and he shared with me how, while there was all this say no, just say no campaign going on in the district, he was delivering bags of everything to Capitol Hill, meeting people in all the hotels downtown, dropping off drugs to the people, saying just say no. And he just thought it was the most hypocritical thing in the world. And in this case, I don't want to be distracted by that fight. I want to talk about the medicinal needs, the extracts that can be given in forms that are not all smoking, that are not bad, that it's not, that there are people in pain.
There are people in pain, but just to speak on what you just said for a moment, and I can't even look over there at my general counsel, because he may be thinking she better watch it. The views expressed here are those of Shantae Hopkins,
not MMJ,
not necessarily MMJ. But me personally, this is my personal stance, because I'm asked this question many times from people who say, "Well, you just believe that everyone should have marijuana." I will be honest, 95 to 96, maybe even a little higher. That we have the percentage of people who are currently using marijuana that come to us is high, and I personally feel like if they're using it anyway, if they qualify for a card, I absolutely want them to have safe, legal, and affordable access. I do not personally have an issue at all with a person who is qualified. And a lot of times people don't even understand that they're self-medicating, because they don't know that they have a problem.
That's exactly
they don't understand that they truly have a medical issue.
And that's the point that I'm so happy you brought up, because that was actually where I was going to go next, and it's in line with what I'm getting here on our Twitter feed, and that is that people use marijuana to self-medicate anyway, even though they may be doing so illegally. A lot of times it is to deal with issues that they're having, be it depression, insomnia, especially that's the mental big one. Issues, because they don't have a way, and particularly in impoverished and low income communities, but not exclusively.
Not exclusively.
But let's talk about the numbers.
Dealing with that, and this is why for a long time, as a criminal defense attorney, I will put that, everybody know that already, but as a criminal defense attorney too, seeing the criminalization of people who are simply self-medicating because they don't have access to health care. They don't have information and knowledge about it, but they know they feel better.
They feel better,
and
absolutely.
That's ultimately what people go for. And I think that there's a big sort of chasm between sort of the people who are kind of self-medicating and the so-called recreational users.
Absolutely.
Like I think that there's more people that are
self-medicating. And that's what I was just going to say, that when we
users.
look at substance abuse and we look at mental health issues, we look at some of the things in society like, people who are victims of blank whatever. And you look at the number of people who are using alcohol, who are using prescription meds. The prescription meds are at 21%, and only in the last few years has marijuana use gotten even to 18%. Yes. It was low down there with psychotherapeutics, which are the psychiatric drugs that perhaps a bipolar person may be taking or a schizophrenic person may be taking that becomes a street drug. And so when you look at marijuana use, I want to make sure that we keep very clean lines, that the self-medicating aspect and the fact that I'm not just a bleeding heart liberal person. I'm a very conservative person, but I do believe in being right and having a moral compass when it comes to social issues. And because we don't address our social issues in our wonderful American culture adequately, then we're not addressing the need for people. I can tell you, I have a day, I just like pray wine, and so as a consequence of that, I really know that this message of medical marijuana and this message of safe, affordable access, legal, that is very appropriate, important. That it's regulated. I think the big issue is physicians aren't even prescribing it, so there's not even the corruption factor in a physician, because there's the next level of approval in the Department of Health. So the pipeline that you would have to cross to get the patient, the patient's family, the physician's going to have to be on board, even if MMJ is pushing it, which you won't. Right. You're legal and appropriate, but the physician has to make a recommendation. Then the Department of Health has to co-sign on it. Then you have a percentage of use, so you're assigned to a dispensary. So 2 ounces is it. If it's day 22 and you short, you short. It is what it is, right?
It is.
You gotta hold
but
on.
it's a rolling 30 days. So if you go in on, say, the 1st and purchase 5 grams, then you still have the remainder of your 56 grams to use. That 5 grams that you purchased today won't fall off until 30 days. Right. So that is something that they explain to you in the dispensary. Yeah. But just to touch on something that you said over there a few minutes ago is also really important in terms of the corruption. People don't dig into the law to understand how many layers there are. Right. Physicians are not allowed to have a financial stake in any dispensary or cultivation operation. Exactly. It is against the law.
It's a conflict of interest.
Absolutely.
But they are also in the pockets of Big Pharma.
I was getting ready to say
and that's
that. On the other hand,
I'm really glad that you did mention
that. Was going to be my last piece to talk about the FDA and where the legal challenge is with why the FDA can't just approve it. And that's going to get into my area of research. So go right ahead.
I just wanted to touch on that. I didn't know that you were going to go go deeper into it. But so there is that whole layering. Physicians cannot have a relationship. Right. Business relationship with a dispensary or a cultivation operation, and there's no risk of some sort of kickback from a dispensary or from a grow-op
because it's a profession, and so people don't understand, like, from the science and research of all of this. We know that that growers are doing a phenomenal job of doing the genetic growing of plants that are high in certain CBCs, or that are high in certain CBDs, it's high in the medicinal compounds and lower in the psychoactive compound. So we know that can be done. We know that you can make an extract, you can make something that little kids can have, in their mouth, edible, so forth, digestible. So with all of that, the FDA has very clear guidelines on approving any product for medicinal treatment. It has to be able to go from pill form to an injectable form seamlessly. So those regulations, when there's not adequate research, there's more now, but adequate research to define that this is the molecule, this is what it does, these are the receptors it impacts on a cellular level, this is the outcome. When you are there, that's when you can get a drug approved. Because I was very proud in graduate school that before Taxol finished, which is a wonder drug for breast cancer, before it finished its phase 3 clinical trials and got approved for use. Remember, women and breast cancer, men and women were dying, and this has been the wonder drug. Our lab under Dr. Struzinski, I tested it on 19 other cancers. How fabulous is that? That you can say it's targeted for breast. And then there have been advancements, but it takes years. Research and discovery in the pharmaceutical arena takes years and millions and billions of dollars. And so you're talking about needing to have the street recreation money, profit level of money for the medicinal side to get the research that it needs to get the approval from FDA. And in all of that, there's still corruption. All of the time. You know? And so the pushback isn't just coming from the religious group and law enforcement and those people. It's also coming from the business side. Medicine everywhere control it.
Everybody except for the IRS, because no one else can seem to figure out how to regulate things. But as soon as a medical or recreational program is approved, the IRS sends you guidelines on how to pay those taxes.
Absolutely.
You can't put the money in the bank.
So
nobody else wants to touch it.
But we will take
but
your
this
money.
is how you gonna pay those taxes.
Exactly, you're gonna pay taxes. And so
love
because of that, I think that it's just another added layer that I think that have understanding the process and the complexity that you can't just decide today I'm gonna open a dispensary tomorrow. I got a space on down the street and we're gonna hook up.
Absolutely
No, there's gonna be policy and processes that are as exhaustive as opening a hospital, more than opening a physician's office. From all of the guidelines I looked at, even a physician's office is not as complex as the regulations that are regulating dispensaries.
And the legislation always dictates the number of dispensaries that can be opened in a state or in a ward.
Which
or,
is the same way that
Mm-hmm.
we make decisions on how many health clinics can be in a region. It's all based on zip code, population, and need. And so all of these things, and I think the regulative component is so important, because when you get to getting this past like the emotional and the armchair, but getting to the facts, that you've done a beautiful job in my book of really just driving home that it's safe, affordable, access that's legal.
Yes. And I think, and the thing that I've been doing this for a year in the district, and like I said, I have patients ranging from children who have seizure disorders to 80-year-old patients who have Alzheimer's and cancer. And our patients come from all walks of life. We have those people who are on disability, who and they're senior citizens, and I have attorneys. I have physicians. I have pastors.
And you have pastors and religious leaders.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
it's about
all walks of life.
It's like if Taxol, this wonder drug for breast cancer, and somebody say you just can't have it. But my mother is dying. My sister is dying. And I think when you personalize it and you begin to make it real that way,
pain,
people are living with chronic pain. I mean, to the point where, cancer patients, a morphine drip is not easing the pain. Have bone cancer. I mean, not easing the pain, but marijuana is.
And it's causing problems with their appetite. Wasting syndrome for HIV and AIDS patients and cancer patients. And another thing, there's so many things that when we mention
which is why we're going to have a second show.
Just really important. I think that it's really important to mention, because people are so hesitant. Another question I'm asked all the time is, do I have to tell my job about this, or will I be on a list? This information is protected under HIPAA, just as any of your other medical information would be. So you don't go on a list. I know there are people out there who are saying, oh, no, I don't want to be on a list. you're not on a list.
Yeah, well,
you be on a list if you go illegally, but if you come to MMJ, and let me be fair to your other colleagues who may be providing this education, but if you come to MMJ on Truth 360, we are biased. Are we?
Yeah,
shameless.
We'll tell you. There's MMJ out there. There's also DC cannabis cards. We'd be happy for you to see DC cannabis cards.
We're not supporting. We don't know them. We know y'all. We Alex and Shantae. We don't really know y'all. We don't roll like that. We loyal, you know, right, Holly? Right? No, whatever. And so shamelessly, what we're saying is that the process, that it's not rampant, free recreational use where we're going to have lines like the new iPhone that's coming out, lining up and people just ready to buy. It's not that kind of thing. This is medicine at its finest. This is regulation at its finest. And I think that even the legislative piece and governmental has been judicious in making sure they had an airtight process that could not be challenged.
We're going to let Alex and Shantae have the last word and what they want to let people know about medical marijuana. And while they do that, Eric's going to put up their contact information on where we can find them.
Perfect.
Alex,
all I wanted to say was if you had any other questions, please feel free to visit our website, www. Or do you even need to do that anymore? Yeah. Just mmjadvocatesgroup.com.
Yes.
There's some information on there. You can also schedule an appointment online.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, we have a schedule.
So you're technologically advanced.
Yes.
Hit
and
the
then
smartphone app yet? Got smartphone app?
Not yet, but we're working on it.
We're going to give you a referral.
That's right.
Very good.
Keep it in the family. Keep it in the family.
There's MMJadvocatesgroup.com, and you can make an appointment. Shantae, closing thoughts.
Again, there's so many things I want to say, but I just think it is really critical for people to understand. Again, it's safe, legal, it's affordable. It offers you protection. Having this card offers you legal protection that the decrim law does not. Yes, you are not going to face jail time for a small amount of marijuana under 2 ounces in the district. However, you could lose your job. You could lose your housing. You could be violated from your parole or probation if you do not have a medical marijuana card.
You're still committing a legal infraction.
Yes.
Of course.
The only legal marijuana available in the district is medical marijuana, and you must have a medical marijuana license issued through the Department of Health to be legal. And it's so important. If you are using marijuana today and you have a condition, any chronic condition that affects your daily life, from appetite issues to insomnia to pain, seizures, any number of conditions, contact us. The only way to consume legally in the district and protect your job, your freedom if you're on parole or probation is to have that card. So come in for the evaluation and see if you qualify. What we tell people in our program, this is something that our doctors have agreed to be a part of our program. Our program is guaranteed in the sense that if you are not qualified, we give you a refund.
Right.
So people ask that all the time. Are you guaranteed to get the card? I won't guarantee that you'll get the card, but I guarantee you won't lose your money. If the doctor does not write you a recommendation, we will refund your money because we ask you those questions.
But you need
to have a condition?
But you need to know, and I think it's always err on the side of knowing the fact.
Exactly.
So that you're not out there taking a risk when you're not sure. You have the card. It keeps you safe. Go through the process because it's designed to help you.
And it was really important for us to have doctors who were willing to work with us and work with our patients. And again, $75 for someone who is low income, that's a lot of money for them to only come into the doctor, pay us this $75, and then the doctor say you're not qualified. Right. So that's why we say you're guaranteed not to lose your money. If the doctor says you're not qualified, you will receive a refund.
Listen, it's only one thing to say. You need to. It's no reason not to try it.
There's none whatsoever.
Because because chances are you may not even know. You might be self-medicating.
You need a little self-medicating, workaholic self-medicating.
So medical marijuana is legal and available in the District of Columbia. You don't know how to get this done. That's why you got to contact MMJ Advocates Group. And you can contact them at mmjadvocatesgroup.com or call them at 202-241-7552. Alex and Shantae, thank you so much for being a part of
it. Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
And usually have some stuff.
Yeah, some sound effects.
So we'll just clap. And we will definitely be having you back. We will definitely be having you back. And we got to keep so we can keep up
the conversation going.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what it's about.
The laws, because like we said, the laws
are changing. I know we want to change the tone of the conversation. We want to be able to steer this. We want to take the whole taboo of marijuana.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. And I think we've been successful.
Oh yeah,
today. Hollywood,
what
you got on the turntable?
I thought I'd end on a lighter note. You know, he didn't have that many hits that I know about, but this one I love. So we're going to take it out with Afro Man, Because I Got High.
Roll another. Yeah.
La da 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 da. La da da. La da da da. La da da da. La da da da. I was gonna clean my room until I got high. I was gonna get up and find the broom, but then I got high. My room is still messed up, and I know why. Why, man? Yeah, cause I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. La da 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 da. I was gonna go to class before I got high.
Come on, y'all.
Check it out. I could have cheated and I could have passed, but I got high. I'm taking it next semester, and I know why. Why, man? Yeah, cause I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high.
Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Go to the next one.
I was gonna go to court before I got high. I was gonna pay my child support, but then I got high.
No, you wasn't.
They took my whole paycheck, and I know why.
Why, man?
Yeah, cause I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. La da 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 da. I wasn't gonna run from the cops, but I was high.
I'm serious, man.
I was gonna pull right over and stop, but I was high. La da da. Now I'm a paraplegic, and I know why.
Why, man?
Yeah, cause I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. La da 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 da. I was gonna make love to you, but then I got high.
I'm serious.
I was gonna eat your too, but then I got high. Now I'm and I know why. Yeah, because I got high.
Keep going.
Because I got high.
Hey, do that over,
because
man.
I got high.
Come on, man. Come on.
Go. I messed up my entire life because I got high. Go. I lost my kids and wife because I got high.
Say what? Say what? Say what? Say what?
Now I'm sleeping on the sidewalk and I know why.
Why, man?
Yeah, cause I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. La da 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 da. I'ma stop singing this song because I'm high.
Present tense.
Baby, I'm singing this whole thing wrong because I'm high.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
And if I don't sell one copy, I don't know why.
Why, man?
Yeah, cause I'm high. Cause I'm high. Cause I'm high.
Are you really high though, man? He really is high, man.
Shoop, shoop, shooby doo wah.
Get jiggy with it. Skippity bee.
Wow,
Wow,
I love that song.
Because I got high.
Because I know the first one is my favorite. I didn't clean my room because I got high. I'm gonna start using that excuse because my room is dirty right now. Look, we are back. We have had an amazing conversation about marijuana today. We're more to come, more to come. I love those guys. Those guys are great. We got to have them back.
And Alex,
I have already reached out to their
person.
So
I'm thinking of what panel I need them on to talk about advocacy.
I love it. Love it. And so timely for what's going to be happening soon. We're going to talk about the Maryland legislative briefing and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But just thank you. Love. I've already reached out to them. We'll have them back in a couple months, and I've already booked for at least 2 more times.
Yes,
you don't know Shantae. She's dynamic. You know, she's one of them dynamic women that we
that's
love.
right. One of them love and
she
referrals.
She already hit me up and told me, well, I got this nonprofit I'm starting too.
Okay.
So we'll have her back to talk about that and do all that good
funding
stuff.
And getting some support and letting her lead this advocacy public awareness campaign.
We got to get
they're
it
the
done.
right ones.
Got to get it done. So you got some closing thoughts you want to share with us?
I do, Holly, and they're quite simple. I am Miss Rainbows and Blessings.
I love it.
And we were off air laughing about being a scientist and attorney and business strategist and consultant and all the things that we do. And we are packing, but at the end of the day, we both have these big hearts for people to be knowledgeable. And so what I take away from today's show and just what I'm feeling overall is that Rainbows and Blessings for me translates into being a champion of people having a quality life and having the best possible life. Whatever your personal best, your dream, your desire, move towards making it happen. You may not accomplish every dream, but you will absolutely be fulfilled and overjoyed if you approach it right. And so when I'm thinking about medical marijuana, when I'm thinking about President Obama putting all of these middle class kitchen table issues on the table, when I'm thinking about the Republicans having no feedback and no answer to what he put on the table, and most of all, when I'm thinking about health and medicine and the pain, the seizures, and all of the illnesses that people are challenged with every day, and that through this regulated process for safe, affordable access to legal medical marijuana, there are guidelines, policies, the fact that physicians have to make recommendations, and there's still another layer of approval from the government and from, in this case, the DC's Department of Health. I just think that it's absolutely awesome that we are empowering and educating our listeners. And so from a true 360 perspective, it's just one more big ups to an exceptional 2015. And I hope that if there's a listener who has a family member or a friend who's suffering and does not know that the Medical Marijuana Advocates Group, MMJ Advocates Group, is available and there and a resource if you live in the District of Columbia.
Absolutely.
And for our neighboring jurisdictions, begin to reassess and reevaluate decriminalizing marijuana from legalizing medical marijuana.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I continue to be struck by the self-medication thing. And this is what I would say. You have nothing to lose. If you, especially, and I want to do a special shout out and reach out to all my potheads out there. All of you weed smokers out there, you know who you are. You just bought a dime bag a day ago. If that's you, listen up. You got nothing to lose. You might as well go and see if you qualify. Many of you are probably self-medicating and don't even know it, particularly if you're frequent users. Right. From pain to PTSD to insomnia to depression. And especially, how I have to talk about my people, especially the black people. We don't go to the doctor for nothing.
Yes.
This is a reason to go. See if you're qualified. Get the card. At least have the conversation with MMJ Advocates. If you don't qualify, you get your money back.
Yes.
You can't beat that deal.
You can't beat that.
If you do qualify and you are able to get the card, now you're moving yourself out of prosecution.
Illegal,
you're protecting yourself. You may even get some other supportive services that you need in order to get your life and not just be on the couch smoking weed all damn day. I'm just saying. So let's start that path. And then finally, I have to say on a lighter note, as we actually move towards not just the legalization of medical marijuana, but the decriminalization of marijuana, and maybe even the legalization of recreational use, which I'm still on the fence about.
Yes.
Should that ever become something that actually happens, I am definitely going to have a business.
Yes.
And my business is going to be called the Coffee Pot.
Yes.
And the Coffee Pot is a 24-hour coffee/weed shop all day long, munchies and weed. So don't nobody steal my idea, because the Coffee Pot, the minute we got recreational use, because I can't be going through all them regulations, but the minute recreational use
you
is free
an attorney
and
who
abundant.
can navigate the regulations with no problem. You can handle that.
Come to the 24-hour weed and snack shop called the Coffee Pot. That's my business. I'm waiting on the laws to catch up with me so I can open that up. All right, now, before we get out of here, man,
we have some announcements, so let's run through them, Holly. Woo, we got a lot
going
on.
All right, let's go.
You ready? You ready, Eric, our engineer? You ready, Eric?
Here we go.
All right, number 2, the Women's Legislative Briefing is an annual event held by the Montgomery County Commission for Women and made up of co-sponsoring women's organizations and commissions throughout our region. It's this Sunday, January 25th, 2015, at the universities at Shady Grove, Building 2. The cost is nominal for you to have an amazing day. There are workshops. There's a trek for young people, and the workshops discuss topics that range from talking about health and healthcare to legislative advocacy to human trafficking, domestic violence. It's a wonderful, wonderful day of education, inspiration, and empowerment.
Absolutely. Got to be there. Next up,
it's Lovely Ladies
the
of Laurel.
Lovely Ladies
of
Laurel and the National Mentoring Month celebration will be happening January 22nd at 6:30
That's tomorrow
p.m.
evening.
That's tomorrow. Lord,
and I want to give a big shout out
at the Dwight D. Eisenhower Middle School. So you definitely need to look out for that.
I want to give a big shout out to. I want to give a big shout out to Celeste Hill and the amazing work she's doing. She sent off last year the first group of Lovely Ladies of Laurel, mentoring these young ladies from junior high through high school, and these powerful young women are all in college on scholarships, doing it well. And the last time I was with them, I think they had 700 young women listening to us share with them how to keep going, persevere, and be all they could be.
January is National Mentoring Month. So if you're not mentoring somebody or being mentored by somebody, now's the month to get it together.
Absolutely.
And the Lovely Ladies of Laurel will be looking for you tomorrow evening, January 22nd, from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at Dwight D. Eisenhower Middle School. Next up.
MCASA, the Maryland Coalition Against Sexual Assault, is having their annual reception in Annapolis tomorrow night at 6:30. So if you don't want to go and talk about mentorship, you absolutely can get in on supporting and having a great time at Harry Brown's in Annapolis Circle. So big shout out to our friend Lissay Jordan and all of the great work that they're doing at the Maryland Coalition Against Sexual Assault.
Absolutely. And next up, Black and Missing panel discussion at the Arc in Southeast DC on February 18th. You can RSVP by February 11th. Let me just say, for those of you who have ever been a parent or had a loved one, even for just a few hours where you don't know where they are, it is the scariest, most frightening and terrifying feeling that you can imagine. And the number of people that go missing every year is just
from
shattering.
Murder to human trafficking to all of the ills that can happen.
This is a free event and open to the public.
And there's going to be a short film being shown that night as well. Micheline Bowman is going to be the host that night, and it's free again.
Free and open to the public at the Arc, which is in Southeast DC. So definitely check that out. And last up,
I was so excited when I was surfing the web and I saw this flyer. I was looking for something else, that Prince George's County is doing an amazing and powerful thing. They're having a male educator summit. And so this event is designed to empower and inspire the male educators of Prince George's County. I'm sure they'd welcome our other jurisdictions signing in. There's going to be panel discussions because we know that the majority of teachers in most communities are women. And so to be able to have men there working with our youth, not just our male students, all students benefit by having balanced perspectives and opinions. And so I was just really excited, and we'll talk this up again and maybe try to talk to some of the guys and find out more about it.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Well, that actually is a wrap for us. Next week's topic will be on teen dating violence.
Yes.
That's what we got coming up. Mm-hmm. All right. Until then, be sure to look for our bonus content, which will be available on Truth 360 on our YouTube channel, Truth 360 by BDC. Don't forget, let me tell you, this is a new year, and these topics are just going to be awesome. You do not want to miss a show.
Yes.
And to be sure you don't miss a show and that you know exactly what's coming up. Sometimes we know, sometimes we don't. Text Truth 360 to 40691. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Truth 360 by BDC. And as always, please check out our website at blackjustcollaborative.com. I want to remind people that, yes, we are in our new time slot. This is our second week here.
Yes.
We are here to stay at least for a little while. So settle in and be sure to check us out every Wednesday from 5 to 7 on listenvisionlive.com, WLVS Radio. My goodness, it has been a great
show, Holly. And we are on the exceptional year for 2015. And just continue to be exceptional until next week.
Until next week. We'll see you then. Send baseball cap.